good afternoon. Actually, good morning. This is Mr. Not Advice. It is Sunday, July 27th, 2025. And as always, this is for information and education purposes only. Hope you had a great week. We had a very good week. I've been tired. It's been pretty hectic trading over the last 9 weeks, and we've done very well. I'm going to do the call today in a different format. Going to go over charts, market, look at some of the macro data. Then I'm going to talk about EOSE, what earnings estimates I think will move the needle. Looking at the market technicals, I'm looking at Goldman Sachs head of hedge fund coverage. Tony Pasquarella noted that the S&P closed. It went wire to wire, which means it's started up on Monday and we finished up on Friday. So he had a couple points that he picked out, which he said that the tariff deals, which some of the macro we're going to discuss, we did have some tariff deals this week. Although there is some confusion coming out of Japan, whether or not there's actually a tariff deal or not. But what we're seeing is progress, and I think that will continue. We have the market technicals remain favorable, and a big deal this week with Google, because Google, it pretty much reassured the market that the commitment to AI spending is only going to continue to grow. Um, as one analyst put it, this is a gold rush for compute capacity with tailwinds from both demand and policy. I could not agree anymore. So there is continued to be significant strain with just individual positions, but the framework for the market direction is still up. Um, it is now for 15 weeks, the S&P has just been going straight up. So we are due for some consolidation. But the tricky part right here is going to be, is it consolidation or is it a pullback? I'm thinking that looking forward, we're in the meat of the earnings season this week. We have quite a bit of economic news coming out this week also. So I think this week I'll call it where the rubber meets the road week in terms of um, where I think what the market has to do. I think the market needs to have these earnings this week need to be sort of the spark to continue to launch the market higher. However, regardless of that, the market continues to go up. Um, and it's just, I'm going to look at some of the internal data points that I watch. Um, this is the gross flows. So when we talk about, um, me, I'm always looking for uh, trying to follow the money, right? I want to follow the money. And so when I look at the 1-day gross flows, that hedge funds continue to sell off. I mean, remember, they're not long. I mean, they're not overly short, but they're missing out on this rally, and yet they continue to degross, so delever. Pretty surprising, quite frankly. The markets in the last, let's see here, we have very little volatility. I think we've had 30 days where the market has been less than a 1% move. That's a pretty big deal, and that shows that that grind upwards that happens with a bull market, which is what we're in right now. That grind upwards without that volatility tells me that there's a lot of algorithmic buying going on too. Hedge fund positioning did go higher, but it's still way below um, the standard long short ratio. Looking at drawdowns, this is a quant fund. 3 month drawdown, these guys suck. I mean, they're negative for the year. I think even my newest members are up at least in the teens or 20s this year. So this is, for those of you out there who want to open a quant fund, I'm like, why? Um, Here we have the large speculators and hedge funds are the most net short in over a year. Now, does that mean that they know something we don't know? They're not always right either. And that's a continuation of the data coming off of uh, right here, which is the hedge fund positioning. Yeah, here it is, gross leverage. Okay. Oh, here it is. We've had 21, not 30, 21 straight sessions without a 1% move. Very calm, very very quiet. It's a very strong trend, and there's no stress. And then if we want to understand what's going on now, I'm not going to get into a long dissertation upon about how what's going on is they are trying to light inflation because they're increasing global liquidity, money supply. You increase money in the system, more dollars chasing the same amount of product, same amount of stocks. What's going to happen? Well, you're going to have the stock market going up, and that's what's going on now. So, no, it's not good, but we'll ride it as long as we can. So the S&P 500 was able to close this week at a new all-time closing high. As I said earlier, it's just been a slow grind upwards. We also on the Qs, same thing, new all-time closing high. Pretty impressive. I mean, if you look at this angle of this price advance. Okay, looking at the VIX is very low. I bet you we get back down into the 12 area on the VIX, primarily because there's literally no put buying. In fact, Goldman Sachs said perhaps their favorite trade, the easy trade for them, was QQQ calls, and so just because there is no put buying right now. Let me look at the individual stocks that I currently own or tracking. I tried to get into URA. Um, I was not able to get in. I'll still look at a break at this 42.22. URA is a uranium stock. Tesla, hell of a weird week this week, but still constrained by this wedge that I drew a while ago. So price is going to break out here, and I think when it does, I think at the very least you get a shot up to that 369, 370 area. Okay. Looking at the individual charts, Russell silver trade. Silver got smacked, and so I believe I'm in a silver trade. So I'll be looking to exit that on a stop on Monday. Um, let's take a look at Roblox. Keeps running up. All right. I think a lot of these were pauses last week. We are out of PPTA. We got out here. How easy to see the chart. There we go. We got out up here. Yes, not kidding. Same thing with PCT. Waiting either to break lower or I'll do a reverse to the top side. On Oscar here, I'm still in it and I'm looking to add. I thought I was going to add here, but the next day happened. So I'll look to add when we get above 1592. Okay. So O'Reilly Auto Parts, we are in this. And 1 second here. So we are in O'Reilly Auto Parts. I'm down 15% in them. That's okay. See how the market opens up on Monday. Ethereum. We own a bunch of Ethereum. I've got Ethereum. I think Ethereum is going to be this is going to, I want to get longer Ethereum. I think with this next Bitcoin run that we're going to get, I think Ethereum is going to outperform Bitcoin. So I'm waiting to get long Ethereum. I'll come back to EOSE. NFX earnings this week, look, it's truly a binary event. They've set it up such that either they come out and surprise and the market is rewarded for this recent advance, or they come out and, excuse me, disappoint and the stock gets punished, maybe down to $10, $11. Retail feels happy because they look at it like, well, gosh, I got free warrants, so I'm okay with that. Unfortunately, I think that's what's going to happen, but we'll see. I don't, yeah, we'll see. CPB, yeah, we got hit on a lot of our metals and industrials. So what I need to see is in the morning is to get right back above this low, actually above 33. So we're quite a bit. I'll probably end up taking a stop on that. CMA I'm into, up 17% on CMA. Look at this wicked reversal on Friday, right here. So we're up, and I will raise my stop to this break level at 67.65. But I think we're in a good position on CMA. Here's the overall chart. First, we're going to go up to here at 68.95, and then we've got pretty much blue sky all the way up to that all-time high of 73. Beyond. Wicked reversal. I might go short. I have to take a look. I don't like where it is reversing to. This is see this big green candle? It's almost at about the exact 50% level. So this is an area where there could be a bounce. So I'm just keeping an eye on it. Oh, I got smashed on AA. Another one I got smashed on. So I'll be exiting AA unless I get back above this 3163 on Monday, which is probably not going to happen. So overall, looking at the portfolio last week, and then I'll get into EOSE. All right, so last week I closed out a number of trades. We started the week off. Here we go. On the 21st. So we closed. Oh, let's put that in there. That's the wrong date. There we go. All right. So we ended last week, a week ago, at 387. We're closed the week at plus 400. Model portfolios up 44% for the year. We sold a lot, and I want to go through each of these trades. Actually, before I do that, let me go over EOSE. EOSE to me, with their earnings coming out this week, I'm simple, right? So I'm keeping it real simple. If they come back with revenues 25 below, so 25 million to below 30 million, let's say 25 to 29, I think the stock's going to go down. If they're in that 30, 35-ish range, I think the stock will be flat to slightly up. And I think if they break over 40, I think the stock's going up. So 2025 down, and they're going to have to break 40 in order for the stock to go up. And I think they're going to have to hit what 30, 35 in order for the stock to stay at no less than where it's at today. So I think technically it looks very, very strong. We keep banging our head against this 650 level, right? Despite this tail here. So once I do believe we'll get through there. I don't know if we'll get through the before earnings are released. That's going to be curious to see. Um, but one of the things that I do like about this, and I think it's important to take a step back, the price has now undone all the bad news. Okay, that's pretty phenomenal. Very strong move on the stock. So I remain with if we can get through here and we get some news, I think we will take out 736 on earnings. I think if it's good enough earnings, we'll go above $8. But where we're at now is if you think about data points, we had 1 quarter of earnings. So 15 million that they have to do 150 to 165, I think. And so it's very hard to extrapolate from that and say, okay, well, they had 1 quarter, 15, well, that doesn't get the job done. So second quarter here, let's say they come back with 30 million. Now they're at 45 million. Well, you can start to model and say, well, they grew from 15 to 40. I sort of have a growth rate, a rate of acceleration, but really it's only 2 data points. A third data point, which would be next quarter, that would then be able, at least from my perspective, I have the comfort level, and I tend to be more conservative, but I'd have the comfort level to go in heavier at that point if I'm thinking like an analyst. And so I'm wondering if this quarter, if perhaps we're 1 quarter early, not before we get good news. This is not about good news. I expect good news. What I'm looking for right now is, will there be enough good news where it will finally push people over the edge to start looking at EOSE, that they have now entered that growth part of a hockey stick, right? They're entering the handle part. I just personally think maybe we're 3 months early or a couple months early, but I don't know what they're going to release on news. I do expect a good earnings announcement. I expect commentary on additional demand, MOUs. Obviously, I want to share this with you. So we had one of our Fight Club members who is qualified and applied for a job with the EOSE, and it was really interesting because I call that some incredible due diligence work. And one of the comments that the HR person had said to him was mentioned perhaps getting into hospitals, and so that was new. And the feedback was simply that The HR person said that they are they need people to pack and be able to ship these cubes. That's where the bottleneck is right now. So if that's true, did they get as many out? Is that truly the issue? It's you can't take any of these numbers in a vacuum. I mean, they come out and they report, let's say they report something amazing, like 60 million in revenues for the second quarter. Well, you can get excited by that, but you have to look at that if you're going to be if you're trying to use macro because, well, maybe they cannibalize their next two quarters by front loading this quarter, and that's why they hit 60 million. So it's not the numbers themselves. And yeah, I put out these basic numbers at the beginning because those are the numbers that the market seems to be keying on for this earnings cycle for EOSC. My opinion hasn't changed. I still believe, and I still have my $15 price target at the end of the year. And as I've remained consistent that they're going to have to, that $15 price target was if they could execute the business plan as they said they would. So far, so good. We're going to find out this second quarter. I also think there's quite a bit of what do you call it? The intangibles surrounding EOSE. It's rare you have a company with a board that's connected to the current administration. It's rare, purely serendipitous that EOSE is hitting this time frame in our human history, right? When batteries and electrical use for AI and data centers and it's just all coming together at the same time. It's purely serendipitous that EOSE happens to be an American-made battery company when Chinese batteries just got shown the door. Additionally, that there is an overriding and growing political tone and tenor in America to buy American, especially with critical infrastructure and defense and security projects. I support that. So that's another intangible that just happens to be there. And then you have all the tangibles, right? You have the money they have. You have Cerberus. I don't want to go through the list again, but if EOS comes out with earnings. I expect them to be good, but let's say they come out and they're just not super exciting. Yeah, the stock's going to fall, but I'm okay with that because all I see is that I'm expecting this quarter to be a good quarter. I don't, like I said, I don't know how. I have my numbers that I think will move the needle, right? So 25 to 29, I think stock goes down, not hard, but down. Below 25, I think it goes down hard. 35, let's say 30 to 35-ish. I think it stays flat, and then anything above 40 to 45, I think the stock is going to move. So it's going to be an exciting week, though. I'm super excited, both with NFX and EOSC. I mean, I'm positioned pretty well in those. Well, EOSC, NFX, I'm not. I still have calls in NFX. They're leaps. So looking at, I think it's going to be with EOSC. For me, it's just going to be what is the level of expectation that the investment community is arriving at this earnings date? If the investment community is too optimistic, the stock is going to get hit, right? On the other hand, if the investment community, which I think actually the investment community is being more cautious, at least from the tweets and posts I see, being a little bit more cautious about what the expectations are, and that this while there is hopefulness, this doesn't seem like a do or die quarter like last one was. So overall, I think if you look at it's easy to get caught up in short-term price action, but if you look at the weekly chart, this is pretty easy to see that this level here, this is a big time level. Okay, we need to get through here, and if we can do that, yeah, I think we have a shot. This depending on the earnings this week, it's certainly set up. It's within the range of price popping and taking out that 52-week high there. I think that the price action has been, while choppy, it's been strong. Why? I've got what do I have here? I've got higher highs, higher lows. This is very strong. We had the break, right? We call this a gap and go. And usually what happens, what you want to see is this thing gaps. And then as price comes down, it tests and holds the gap. That's exactly what it did. Okay. This is ready to go. So I'm waiting to add. I wanted to add at a close above 650. This stupid candle screwed me up, so I can't do that. So I'm waiting to add because I would like to, depending on how the stock acts, I have leaps. I've got uh, earnings play $9 calls that I'm up 14% in. I've got November calls I'm up 100% in. And so I've got quite a bit of positions that if I have the ability, I'll probably try to lighten up going into earnings, lock in gains, correct? Protect profits. So I think it's been an exciting week. Looking at other positions, well, I did go through those. Overall, for the market wants to go up. There is no doubt in my mind that the market wants to go up. I think that we're continuing to see this dash for trash. So, what does that mean? Small cap stocks, unloved stocks, meme stocks are now starting to move. And if you're sitting there going, "Wow, I need to find one," yeah, that's a game that we all try to play, and it's very difficult to do that to know which one's going to go. So we often wait. 90% of the time we miss it because we just won't chase. I think the strongest assets moving forward are going to be um, anything digital, Bitcoin. I think AI will continue to be strong through the summer. I think that if Trump is serious about doing a rebate at the end of the summer to lower income Americans, as well as he is quietly, he's doing so much that the press doesn't know what to do with him. I mean, 25% of the IRS staff was laid off last week, which was planned, but it went through. And then on top of that, he's still talking about canceling income tax. So this could be done, but just because I'm saying that it's happening or I think that's happening doesn't mean I support it. Because if they're doing a backdoor liquidity program now, but because that's shown through the M2 money supply rising. Okay. And they're going to be creative about it. They're going to do it through loosening of bank regulations, capital. I mean, there's so many ways that the government can inject liquidity into our economy. Here's the problem: when you do that, you run the risk of what? Inflation. And so I think he's going to combat inflation by allowing the dollar to continue to drop. I think there'll be a race to the bottom with a deflationary dollar because that's going to wreck everyone else's currency. Those are long term macro. On the short term, this summer, I think the market is going to. I don't know if we are at the blow off part, but we are certainly at the breakout part. And remember, blow off tops don't signal market tops. What happens is people think there's a market top, and then the blow off top occurs, right? And then those same people who thought they already experienced the market top, jump back in after the blow off top, and then the market top occurs. So we need this blow off top to occur. Um, Overall, I think, remember summer is typically the summer of doldrums. So well, they call it the summer doldrums, and usually you have lower volumes. And I think part of that is showing itself, or it's being seen in the tighter ranges, right? Lack of 1% um, range on a daily basis on the S&P 500. But there is going to be a period of volatility from a VIX historical VIX curve. We're about to enter uh, months from now, first week of August and the first week of August through September, is a higher and rising volatility period, which makes sense as you enter the fall that people start putting on protection. But the market's set up right now. There's still a tremendous amount of money that hedge funds and CTAs are on the sidelines with, and as we saw, they continue to delever. And so, if they are able to be scared into the market, and they're going to have to be forced, uh, yeah, I think that could provide fuel for just a wicked blow off top. Currently, I'm allocated. Let me take a look here. I think at 39%. So I'm pretty heavy in the market, and I will continue to. You know, we took some hits on some trades we entered on Thursday. I'll have to close those for a loss, but the total loss on it to the portfolio is like 2%, so it's not a big deal, right? Losing 2% of your portfolio, uh, not even actually, yeah. So So I continue to personally try to get heavier the market. I'm at, I could go as high as, and where I want to be adding are, I'm going to be adding index funds as well as additional ETH. Those are all the ones I'm going to add on. So, looking at the overall market, I think that I've been pretty consistent over the last 2.5 months that I believe that the market had overreacted to as the market does with any large macro situation, because when the event happens, there's this emotional response, and then everyone thinks worst case scenarios. And then as the event continues, people in the market realize that it's not going to be as bad as they thought it was going to be. And that's why the market is continuing to move up. The other reason is because Trump has, and it's evident in some of the poll numbers, business optimism is up. Small business optimism is up throughout America, and I think if that continues, and he's able to keep the story, the trend and tone of America moving to that optimistic side, and of course, I know it's not 100% of our country, but if he's able to do that with enough of the population, I think that he has a real shot at reordering some of the excessive regulation. And that's occurred over the last, let's call it since FDR, the growth of the bureaucratic state. So I do think that it's going to take something large to derail it, because the momentum is in his favor right now. It's important not to get caught up in, is Powell going to get tossed or is he not? And, all those things, they're going to be a couple day events, and they're opportunistic events, right? That's how I look at them. I love events like that. I'll be honest with you, really, my greatest concern here moving forward is not the extent at which I am long right now, but it's actually being shaken out, right? Volatility. It's happened a couple times on my trades, but such is life. I also want to do some house cleaning. There's some changes going to be coming to my community. One of the big changes is I'll be releasing a book, manual workbook via Amazon this fall, as well as video lessons. Also, pretty excited that finally my website's going to be upgraded to something beyond, as has been jokingly told to me, a website straight out of 2002. So, so thanks for your patience. So that'll be upgraded too. In addition, I've got Facebook community is going to be launched, and my lessons are going to be translated to at least Spanish and German to start with. So I'm super excited about that. Perhaps the number one thing that I'm excited about is our Discord community. It's truly amazing, and if you haven't visited, I would encourage you to do so. One of the things that I find and there's just Twitter's an interesting place. There's some good people on there and good opinions, but most of it is just, I look at it as just noise. And um, unfortunately, I get a lot of new followers from there that want to learn and find me different than what they're seeing on Twitter. But ultimately, I'd love to be off of Twitter and just have a private community. So for those of you who've never checked out my private community in Discord, I've really got to encourage you to do so. If you think about having an area or a place where you could freely exchange ideas with people that have the same as you do, which is knowledge and trying to decipher this market and how to make money. But most importantly, my Discord focuses on protecting capital. And that's something that I really drive home. So I would like to invite you, because at some point, I bet by the end of this year, I do intend to close it to free members, because if, even though only my paid members get, we share trade ideas in real time, but there's going to be a mechanism coming up as I expand my ecosystem, the MrNotAdvice ecosystem, that will post the trades in the Discord on a time delay for those that want to follow along. And then starting last week, on every Wednesday for my all Discord member, I do live trading with my paid members Monday through Friday in the morning. And Wednesdays for Discord members, they can join, and it lasts anywhere from an hour to two and a half, well, hour and a half to 2.5 hours. And what you're able to see in those sessions is exactly how I enter the trades. It's actually a snapshot of the same setups, the same rules that I use for when I'm using the daily chart for entries. So, and we go over market conditions, look at individual stocks that each of us might be thinking about. But it's really a enjoyable time. It's not a huge amount of people, so people are able to come in and ask questions, and we'll check out charts, look at specific trade ideas. So it's an open forum generally, until we get to the point where we are entering trades. And then, of course, we focus in on that during the session. But any topic that you want to discuss, if you have large macro topics, we talk a lot about EOSE and NFX and PCT beyond. We do. We talk about them. We talk about them within the context of what each of our opinions are, what our opinions based upon, and also what our current positioning is. So we have members that are counter positioned to one another, and um, we can exist just fine. So if you're looking for a place that you want a free exchange of ideas without being heckled or told that you're a pumper or a dumper or whatever it is, then offering the invitation again, please check out the Discord. So, anyway, looking at the overall markets, let me summarize my view. I think we're going to continue to go up. As I'm doing this and editing this today, I'm seeing that there's news breaking that the EU, I guess, has agreed to some framework or maybe a trade deal. But this is what we're going to see, this trickling in of good news, and or this is what the trend is. And I think if this continues, the market's going to continue to grind higher. And I want to be more heavily positioned now than I was 6 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. So I hope you all have a great weekend. Sorry for the 1 day delay in this weekend update. And I look forward to sharing my ideas next week. Thank you.
They ain't got no muscle, no hustle, no backbone. I stand alone, not tripping, just saying I'm different. Ain't hanging on to the coattails of the next man. Passport in my left hand, thinking that you are next. Heck, hope you ain't holding your breath, man, cause I'm out here, I'm hungry. I don't play around, trust me. Ain't had as much drive since my Honda Civic got rusty. And my girl said that she loved me. It's funny, just thinking back, study hard for that 9 to 5 like I thought that I should be good with that. It was